"Have you had any trouble out this way?" asked O'Neill. "I've had a few of those things come around. At least 2, possibly 3. They've recently started scratching on the house or jingling the doorknob on my door there, so I started placing that bad boy at night or when I go out. Figured if I blew one in half, then the others would think twice about fucking with me." Erin turns around. "Are you what Parker was talking about? To help us?" "Well, that tracks as to why he sent Nikki along with you. He knew otherwise. Well, he knew you'd both be dead without her escorting you. I was a sniper in the SEALs, top 3 of my class. That old bastard Parker and I grew up together. We even served together, 5 tours." O'Neill looked at the man. He was about 6 foot tall, strong athletic build. He had a beard that was fading from black to gray. O'Neill could see the hardship Danny had faced in his eyes. After all, the eyes are mirrors to the soul. "How about some dinner? I have some venison. What do y'all say?" The group nods in agreement. The last bit of light fades below the horizon. Darkness takes over. Crickets begin their songs, a troop of ants making their way back to their colony. A slight breeze flows through the grass and the trees. The smell of burning wood in the air. Sets of piercing amber eyes peer from the trees, watching the smoke rising from the chimney of the small cabin. She's been coming to this cabin for the last few nights. Tonight, she silently watches from the trees as the young black-eyed one circles the cabin. The young dogman sniffs and listens. She can hear voices coming from the inside of the wooden structure. The smell of cooked meat, human, and something else. She's unsure of this smell. Her encounters with humans have been limited as she is young. Her pack has kept her away from the furless creatures. She is no stranger to the art of hunting, though. She has been able to take down full bull elks. Her small frame lets her move quickly and chase prey over long distances. She is 5 feet tall, a slender tone core, long limbs with sharp claws. Her tail is short. She has a mane like her mother. However, her mother is much larger than her, almost 9 feet tall, broad chest and shoulders, very muscular for a female. Even though her mother is much bigger, she has watched her approach humans without making a sound, their eyes open wide with fear when she strikes from just feet away. The young black-eyed one looks back towards the trees. She knows her mother is watching. She peeks through the window on the side of the cabin. She can see 4 humans, 2 females and 2 males. She's eager to kill a human on her own. She wants to draw one out and take it by surprise. She begins to scratch against the house. "Shh," Danny says. He slowly stands to his feet and moves towards the cabin door. A gasp escapes Nikki's lips. "Oh my God," Nikki says, her voice shaking. O'Neill and Erin snap their heads towards Nikki's gaze and sees the top of a dogman's head at the window. "Is that one of them?" asks Nikki. "Shh," Danny repeats. Danny unhooks the wire going from the claymore to the door. "Nikki," Danny says, "keep looking at it. Don't break eye contact. Trust me." O'Neill and Erin slowly stand and move towards their weapons. Danny picks his cig up from the table next to the front door and slowly begins to open the door. "Nikki, how you doing, sweetheart? I'm fucking terrified. This thing is smiling at me." O'Neill slowly lifts his M4A1. "No," Danny says. "Don't move." O'Neill lowers his weapon as Danny opens the door as quietly as he can. She stares into the young female's eyes. She can feel the terror coming off of her. She hasn't seen this human before. There's something intoxicating about her. She begins to smile at the thought of ripping her apart, tasting her flesh. Her mouth begins to take the shape of a smile, her canines protruding from her maw. Her heart begins to race. She wants to rip apart this human. Her ears flick. The sound of footsteps coming from her left catches her attention. Crack! She howls out in pain. Her shoulder and forearm are burning. She turns and sees a male human standing just a few feet from her. Her fur stands up. She bares her fangs and lets out a growl. "You're smaller than I thought you would be," Danny says, as he points his cig at the black-eyed dogman in front of him. "Well, you shouldn't have brought fangs and claws to a gunfight, bitch," Danny screams as he begins to pull the trigger. "Danny, look out," O'Neill yells. A flash of black crashes into him and slams him into the exterior wall of the cabin. The air flies from his lung and his pistol falls to the ground. He feels a searing pain fly through his side. Danny looks up to see a massive black dogman with amber eyes towering over him. Gunshots and her young one's howl fill her ears. She was already moving towards the cabin. She saw the human come out of the door, pointing a weapon at her pup. She lowers her shoulder as she slams into the human. She looks up, expecting to see her pup. Where did she go? She looks around and sees her pup heading back into the trees. She roars at the human as fire buries itself into her thick hide. She stares down the human, standing in the doorway, and lets out a deep, guttural roar. "Oh shit," O'Neill says, as he raises his weapon and squeezes the trigger. Flashes from the muzzle of his M4A1 light up the surrounding area. The black dogman is gone. "What the hell?" O'Neill questions. "Danny, where is it?" "I don't fucking know, man. I buried my face in the dirt." Danny winces as he stands to his feet. "I think that thing broke my ribs. Damn it, that one is fast." Howls sound through the surrounding forest. "We better get inside." O'Neill grabs Danny and helps him back into the cabin. "Danny, oh my God, are you okay?" Nikki runs to Danny and hugs him tightly. "Don't squeeze too hard there, Nick. Let's get you patched up, brother. Then we'll get some rest. And at first light, we'll head back to the town." "Danny, what gear do you have here that you need to take back with you?" questions Erin. "Sweetheart, I need my M200, the 5.7 round box magazines, and all the 408 J-Tech you can fit inside that backpack. O'Neill, we're also going to take that claymore." "Sounds good," said O'Neill while wrapping up Danny's side. A huge purple bruise covered his right side. "Nikki, you need a weapon," Erin says as she picks up the black backpack. "Danny, what's the combination to the gun safe?" Danny smirks. "There isn't a combination. There's just a latch. Just undo the latch and pull open the door." "Do you have any 5.56? "I sure do, brother. Be my guest. There's also a silencer in there that is threaded to your M4. Take it. I'm sure it will come in handy," Danny says. A bit of a chuckle escapes as he puts his hand over his side. "Let's see here," Erin says as she opens the door of the gun safe. Wow. Erin and Nikki's eyes widen. Holy shit. It's a mini fucking armory in here. Nikki grabs a 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun from the safe. "No," Erin says. "You want something that you can load quickly when you're against the wolves." "This one is perfect," Erin says. She picks up the MK-13 and hands it to Nikki. "This is an MK-13. It's a compact rifle and it shoots 5.56. You have a foregrip, tack flashlight, and a holographic sight on there with a double mag. After you empty one, just flip it over and put the other side in." "Wow. How do you know so much about guns?" Nikki asks Erin as she inspects the weapon in her hands. "Rich. He's taught me a lot since we've been on this wild adventure. He's lucky to have you by his side," Nikki says as she takes the ammunition from Erin. "Yeah, I wouldn't have made it without him. Her black eyes peer through the window of the cabin. A low growl begins to stir. She sees the two female humans in the room. She glares at the blonde-haired female. It has one of the fire sticks in her hands. She moves to the side of the window as the red-haired female closes the door to the case against the wall. She peeks in the window again. Only the blonde-haired female is there now. She slowly starts to rake her black claws against the glass. Her sharp claws leave deep scratch marks in the glass. She will be back for this one. The moon is high in the sky. The full force of darkness has come. There is no wind. Everything is still. She slowly makes her way around the cabin, sniffing around the door and the windows. There, she stands up onto her hind legs effortlessly and begins to sneak towards the window she visited prior. She peers into the darkness of the small wooden structure. Her eyes are made for the darkness. She can see the blonde-haired female sleeping on the couch. She's made her plan, and now it is time to execute it. Her mother has taught her well. She will kill and consume her first human tonight. Her black eyes are locked on the human female. She begins to tap on the glass. Nikki's eyes open wide. Her breath quickens. She looks around the room. Erin is asleep in the lounge chair. She taps again. Nikki quickly looks at the window. "Fuck. What do you want?" she says to the black-eyed dogman. She taps on the glass again. Nikki gasps as the black-eyed beast points to her, then the door. Holy shit. It wants me to come outside. Nikki takes a deep breath through her nose as she looks at the door, then back at the window. But the creature is gone. Where did it go? Nikki says to herself. Nikki stands to her feet and picks up the MK-30. She slowly moves to the door and takes a deep breath. Nikki then opens the door and looks out into the night. The light of the moon shines on her surroundings. Nikki looks around as she walks off of the porch of the cabin with her weapon in hand. She clicks on the flashlight and scans the area. A twig snaps. Nikki moves the light in the direction of the sound and sees it. There you are. You're not so terrifying, Nikki says, as she sees the black-eyed dogman standing about 10 feet away from the tree line. She points her black claws at the human, then points at herself. She grins as the female human begins to walk towards her. She leads the female further and further away from the cabin, separating it from the shelter of the wooden structure and the protection of the other humans. Nikki quickens her pace, trying her best to keep up with the black-eyed dogman. Nikki comes to a small clearing, the light of the moon lighting up the area like an LED spotlight. What the hell am I doing out here? What does this dogman want with me? Suddenly, a growl from the darkness, the sound of brush moving around followed by another growl. Nikki raises her weapon and spins herself around to face the direction of the sounds. It suddenly appears not more than 15 feet in front of her. What do you want? Nikki says to the black-eyed beast. Stop. Don't come any closer. I don't want to hurt you. She continues to move towards the human, her eyes fixed on its soon-to-be meal. Suddenly, she stops just feet away from her prey. She sits back on her hind legs and sniffs the air. Her ears flick, and she sniffs again. What? What is it? A low growl comes from the beast. Nikki is in a full panic now, tears streaming from her eyes. A deep growl comes from behind her. Nikki closes her eyes. She can feel the ground rumble beneath her feet, the feeling of hot breath on the back of her neck. She begins to cry. Nikki slowly opens her eyes. A huge black dogman starts to circle around her right side. She looks at the human and growls, then looks at her pup and grunts. Please let me go. I promise I won't hurt you. Please, just let me leave, Nikki says through tears. A loud howl pierces the darkness around them, followed by another, then another. Nikki looks in the direction of the noise and sees them. The icy blue eyes that O'Neill and Erin have talked about. Oh shit, I have to get out of here. He emerges from the forest. His white-furred mate moves quickly towards the 9-foot dogman and her pup. She growls at her kin, moving her head towards the trees. Nikki watches as the black beast grabs the black-eyed pup and pulls it away. Both of them drop to all fours and sink into the darkness of the forest. The black-eyed pup stops and scales a tree as she watches the female human, her kin, and her new alpha. He looks at the small human female, then bends down and sniffs her. His icy blue eyes narrow. That scent he knows. The smell of the human from almost 5 years ago. He roars in her face. Nikki screams and covers her ears. His mate grabs the human and pins it to the ground as she snarls just inches from Nikki's face. Nikki shrieks out in terror. He lifts his head and sniffs. He snaps his head in the direction of the tree where the black-eyed pup is. He humps at his mate. She moves quickly towards the tall pine tree. She scales the tree in no time, and in one motion, she effortlessly grabs the pup by her mane, and then jumps down to the forest floor 30 feet below. As soon as she hits the ground, her mother bursts through the trees, her jaws snapping at the white female. He signals to the behemoth 10 feet behind him. He moves at an unnatural speed towards his mate and the black female. He grabs the black one by her face and slams her into the thick pine tree. A crack runs up the side of the mighty tree. She whimpers as the white female drags her pup towards the blue-eyed alpha. He looks at the pup as his mate drops her at his side. He lets out a low grumble and points at the human female. Nikki wipes the tears from her eyes. I'm going to die if I don't get the fuck out of here, she thinks. Nikki snaps out of it and realizes she's still holding the MK-13. She lets out a slow breath as his icy blue eyes meet hers. His head is massive. He looks bigger than O'Neill and Erin described. She looks at the black-eyed pup and the massive gray beast holding the black dogman to the tree. That's your mother, Nikki said to the pup. His head cocks to the side. Is this human trying to communicate with them? He stands and watches the situation in front of him. I'm sorry this happened to you. I know you were going to hurt me, possibly kill me. The black-eyed pup sniffs deeply. She lets out a low whimper and looks towards her mother. She then looks back at Nikki and growls. It's okay. I understand. That's your mother. She's being hurt. If I could go back and save my mom, I would. She tilts her head, her ears flick, and she can hear the sadness in the human's voice. She can feel her pain. He continues to watch. This young dogman is communicating with a human. Of all the creatures he has seen and encountered, the same disgusting creatures that wiped out his pack, the stench of one of them pouring off of this pitiful female in front of him. Rage fills him. She looks up at her alpha and quickly pushes the human female. She follows up with a slash across the human's left arm. Blood pours from the claw marks on the human's arm. She roars at the human. Nikki screams out as she turns to run back the way she came. Branches slap against her body. Thorns snag her clothes as she runs with everything she has back towards the cabin. He grabs the young pup by its head as he roars into the small face of the black-eyed pup. He throws her off the side and howls. The massive beast lets go of the black dogman and bursts in the direction the human ran. He uproots trees 12 inches thick like nothing. Nikki looks over her shoulder and sees the beast rampaging towards her. She lifts the MK-13 and squeezes the trigger. The recoil pushes her hands up, making her miss her target. She turns and continues to run, screaming at the top of her lungs. The beast roars as a bullet grazes his leg. His rage boils. His eyes tunnel onto the human female. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more horror content. If you have any real cryptid encounters, or you're a horror writer wanting to share your stories, please feel free to email me in the description anytime.